Alright, the speech on rebutting is Niallie's on credit cards. And her opening major claim was that credit cards offered toward young college students are easily accessible to them. Companies are targeting young adults that do not need large amounts of credit. First, there's no actual claim being pointed out. If the advocate is focusing on targeting young adults, I don't think that's more so of a claim. I think that all banks are trying to target as much people as they want due to the economy. And her first secondary claim was that credit card debts affect students' current and future education. The evidence used is not primarily directed at credit card debt. According to USA.com, an article wrote that 22% of students take jobs not in their field of interest to pay off student loans and credit card debt. Student loans is with credit card debt, not credit card by itself. Also, the website provided a graph comparing 2001 to 2006 on the average amount of money that increased. Credit card debt does increase, but it's the smallest total amount, being at a little over $5,700. The other two categories were a lot larger, with installment debt, like card payments, being over $17,000 and school loans being over $14,000. Also, doing more research, the evidence that she provided was a little old. It was in 2006, which is almost 4 years old. In a 2009 article, actually recent, on October 29, 2009, another USA Today article writer suggests that consumers are catching up with their credit card debts. He also quotes Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, that there seems to be a stability in the environment in terms of consumer spending that could be forming a base of recovery. So credit card debt affecting college students isn't the primary cause of just not deciding to get your education. The second claim is that it affects, or credit card debt harms students' psychological health. Now, psychological health is very debatable. If she's talking about stress and anxiety, then that can't be debatable, because if you're in debt, of course you're going to stress about it. But if she's talking about actual psychological health issues where you need therapy and medication, she provides no evidence that has like a correlation between one or the other, so she gives a sense of false cause, which is that arguing that one event caused another without sufficient evidence or causal relationship. And thirdly, she talks about the Credit Card Disclosure Act of 2009 that will be effective. That will be in effect in February 2010, having constructive outcome on credit card holders. Now, this kind of goes against her entire claim, because all the information she provided actually would want or motivate you to get a credit card, such as her information saying that those of the underage of 21 need a cosigner. Well, that cosigner will also be jointly liable for the debt that you're in, which will also motivate you to get one, because you won't be in debt entirely by yourself. Also, the new acts will ban unfair increase on rates, prevent unfair fee traps, provide clear disclosures in contracts, and will give accountability to credit card holders from companies. So why wouldn't you want a credit card if you're going to get all this protection? With the whole credit card act, yeah, it kind of counters itself, so the counterclaim is in fact her actual claim. And in the end, I feel that you need credit if you're trying to go for a job or trying to buy, large property like cars and houses. And I don't think that worrying about debt should prevent you from getting a credit card.
right, you set the structure pretty clearly. By the way, the term is refuting or rebutting. Don't add the ing, that's just a little weird. Rebutting. I had somebody doing that the other day. What was it they kept saying? Refutating. That's an awkward pronunciation of the phraseology there. So don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. I just noticed it. I wrote it down. I thought your explanation on the first point about why it's not really a claim needed to be explained a little bit more. The fact is that there are people who have credit card debt. Many of them have debt that exceeds their ability to pay back, and it causes problems for them. There's no dispute on that. That's why it's not a claim. Now the question is, the real underlying issue is whether or not getting credit cards is a necessary thing, or if there are advantages to doing it, and that's what you talk about the rest of the speech, and I think that that's a good probable strategy on that. I thought you did a good job on the first point, challenging the causality claim by showing that the evidence doesn't specify it's just credit card debt that creates these problems, but it's a combination of student loans. And then you had some additional evidence that talked about how credit card debts are the smallest part of the increase in public debt here, and in fact the biggest increases are things that are outside of the subject that she's talking about. So that diminishes the claim substantially. And then you have the updated information about the consumers catching up with their credit, and we're getting stability in the credit market. None of that's specific to college students, but it's a good general card for you to be using on that information. You made a very clear transition to the second point. Your challenge on the psychological health and cause-effect relationship, it's an okay challenge, but I don't remember what the advocate's evidence was. You don't provide any evidence on this particular point, so mostly it's a press. It's one of those, well, they say and I say, and we don't have grounds to believe either point of view situations here, and so I'm not sure it's advancing an argument for either side. On the third point, I thought that you had an interesting point that it might make credit cards more desirable to have the kinds of protections that are talking about here, but I think you're missing the other shoe that's dropping here, and that is that these protections also diminish all of the negative consequences of having credit cards. In other words, that you can get in over your head easily. It's going to be harder to do that now. So what are people going to have to worry about? They're not going to have to worry about that much anymore because they're going to have all these protections. So in essence, she's described something that may have been a problem before. It's either going to not be a problem now, or it's going to increase the problem because people will suddenly want to get the credit cards. I think the second part of that argument is an interesting idea. I think you need a little bit more proof on that. All right, thank you.